Since we arrived at the English Channel, we got to experience some tidals which were completely new to us, the rolling waves at the river inlet, and we were back to tasting salty water again, right where we belong. We made it as far as Le Havre, and what we've seen so far of the French coast of Normandy, it really appealed to us, so we were eager to see some more. Wow guys, 50 episodes and so much has happened since I bought this boat a little more than 2 years ago. I really want to take the opportunity to thank you all for watching, subscribing, commenting, putting the big thumbs up, and especially a huge thank you to all of you that support the making of those videos with once in a while buying me a coffee or becoming a Patreon. That means a lot to keep those episodes coming. Today we are going to do something different. There is a lot to see here in Normandy, and we rented a car to go to some of the places that has meant a lot during the Second World War, for ending the Second World War. You see, Normandy is a quite famous French region and one of the most popular to visit. And it's famous for a lot of things: beaches, history, horse riding, local products like the camembert, not so much used for a non-cheese eater, but also calvados and cider. But then also for things like the White Chalk Cliffs and the D-Day landing beaches. We are in Caen. It's one of the places in Normandy where a big part of the D-Day was taking place. And we are right now at the Memorial Museum in Caen. We've heard this is a very visual museum, and the first thing we see is an actual real British airplane. A small clicker like this could tell whether someone was friend or enemy, and this machine could type codes. There was also plenty of maps describing the situation at different points in a way that made it really easy to follow along. There was of course a lot more to see, and the place well worth visiting.
As long as I remember, or as I was a kid, I've been interested in the Second World War and the D-Day. So it's very interesting for me to be here. So now we are on our way down to Arromanches. The D-Day landing, or Operation Overlord, which was the name of the military operation, was a huge undertaking and one of the largest military operations ever done. And they divided the landing zones into 5 different beaches and had different task forces for every beach.
In Arromanches there was not a war on the D-Day. There was no fights on the beach here because what they wanted to do in Arromanches was to build the port to easily unload all the vehicles and all the supplies and stuff. So they actually saved this place to build this harbor on, but as we understand there is still remains from this harbor left in the ocean. Finding a parking lot was not easy, and the village was extremely touristy. But in a way I'm glad it was. It means that a lot of people value to learn of the history. And the site did not disappoint, even if it felt a bit awkward seeing people swimming around these war remains. There is quite a lot of remains still here. So at this place 2.5 million men arrived and 500,000 vehicles used in this port within the 10 months. Old picture of how it looked from the 1940s. It is almost impossible to imagine. Part of the remains were also now on land. This was a part of the floating pontoons that links the pier to the shore, and where they could drive all the vehicles. This is one of the very common American tanks. This type is a Sherman tank. We are up for the next place, We're just gonna go to the car, and it's gonna be some gun, or I think gun remains. So the place we are going to is called Longue Sommier Battery, and it's a German artillery battery that's on the top of a cliff, not very far from here. It's about 5 kilometers to drive, and we're gonna take the car because we want to see also some more places today. So it's just gonna be a very short car ride to get there. Above all history, we got to see some real pretty part of the French countryside, and we could also feel that summer had come to an end driving along those fields. It's apparently very many people at all those sites, but we got a parking spot. It was very, very full, and we found like the last available one, it felt like, so it's a bit of a good luck today. The battery was sited on a 60-meter cliff overlooking the sea and was constructed in 1943 to 1944. Very nice views today. We're back in the car again, and we have decided for actually to make one last stop on this Second World War Day tour in Normandy, and it's a bit of a bumpy road here. And we have decided to go to the American cemetery, and I think that's going to be probably the most, like, would you say, like, emotional, I guess, stop, where almost 10,000 soldiers have their white crosses. So yeah, that's where we're going, and it's I think 25 minutes, half an hour ride or something. You can so easily tell this whole place has been made to honor people. It's like done with perfection. It's so beautiful and so peaceful, and there is a lot of restrictions what you can and can't do here, which I think is totally understandable. You're not allowed to eat and drink on the grass or have picnics and stuff like that, because it's to show respect for all those men who died here. The American flag. The rows of white crosses were so many, and thinking of how young all those men were, coming to Europe and dying for a war so far from home was hard to take in. Really hard. We ended the World War II tour with driving alongside the Omaha beach. But filled with seriousness, it was hard to take in people playing on the beach, and we did not stop. It is obvious a lot of Americans come here to see where their relatives pass. And it also shows at the restaurants that we found out to have a very American touch. We are back at Tilda from the day of sightseeing with our rental car, and we've been to quite a few places. It was actually like 4 places, but then to be at the cemetery, you also like automatically are at the Omaha beach, so technically more like 5 places, but for real places we went to. So
what did you like best?
I guess I like the cemetery the best. It was like the most visual part, and it's also a little bit emotional because you can feel like it's a lot of Americans that goes there and they actually visit the crosses of their relatives, so it's a little bit closer somehow.
Yeah, I totally agree. I've been there before, and I really think it's a marvelous place. It's a little sad, of course,
Yeah.
but it's absolutely beautiful on the slopes down to the Atlantic, and
Yeah, and they made it so beautiful. It's like it's perfect all the time. The grass is cut perfectly. The lines are perfect. It's just like it's a place of honor.
Yeah, it really is. And then I liked to go to Arromanches and look at one of the mulberry harbors, or the remains from the mulberry bee that was built there, and the only working mulberry harbor.
Yeah. And also like the museum that we went to first, we didn't say so much about the museum because it's completely different to go into a museum than to go to an actual place. But it was actually a really nice museum. It had like a lot of those visual stuff to look at, a lot of the items that actually came from the World War. So it was a very informative in a very good way. But we got a little bit confused by it because we went into it starts like not from the D-Day that we thought it would be about. So it starts from the like before even the war started, what led up to the war, and then we just came out of there and there was peace, but there was nothing about the D-Day, and there was like not even a sign that said like this whole part of it is like an extra exhibition. So it was a bit confusing because we walked there and we waited to see about all those launching and the ships and all the stuff like that. But still, it's a good museum.
Yeah.
We told about 3 other places, and then there was the artillery, the German artillery remains.
Yeah, the bunker with the guns remaining. Yeah.
And it was the good part because we can see those places like they are all over Europe, not all over, but in many places. But the thing that was a little bit special here was that it was actually like with the artilleries inside still. It was not only the bunker. So it was nice to see. And
and it was a marvelous view also. It was a lovely setting, but I guess that 10 minutes was enough at that place. Then you had seen it. It was several bunkers with cannons in them, but had you seen one, you had seen the rest of them also.
Yeah, unless you want like a picnic, because many people went there to have like a picnic because it's like large green areas, so that could be nice as well, but that was not for us really.
No.
So we still think this is pretty good spots, like because it's many spots you can go and visit if you want to learn about the World War II and the D-Day and the launching. But I think those are 4 good picks with the bonus of actually seeing the Omaha Beach.
Yeah.
And also driving between those places, it was really beautiful. We drove like the small countryside roads, and it was super beautiful.
Yeah. It's been a good day.
Yeah, it has. And now it's time to get a shower and clean up the boat a bit, and then have an early night sleep. I think it was a long day.
Yeah. I'm gonna make the dishes, right?
Yeah, you are.
Oh, shit.
We actually had a rental car for another day, and since we didn't want to sail further north at this moment, we decided to take the car to Dieppe, a place I did not want to miss out. And we finally got to see the Shell Cliffs. Not only did Dieppe have a good beach, but also a very vibrant town. I instantly liked this place, and for a while I actually thought of sailing Tilda here, but the harbour fee was way too high. I want to deeply thank you for supporting the making of these episodes. And if you want to contribute, you can also become a Patreon, or buy me a coffee at the links below. If you haven't already, subscribe so you don't miss out. And if you appreciated this episode, please give it a big thumbs up.